Okay, well, welcome to session 2, the P.L.A.Y Project Home Consultation Program. My name is Rick Solomon, and I'm the Medical Director of the P.L.A.Y Project. We've already covered the overview of the P.L.A.Y Project in Webinar 1. This one will talk in more detail about the Home Consulting Program. What does that look like? I've already described briefly that this involves half-day home visits where we coach the parents to use our P.L.A.Y methods, and we give them feedback. But I want to go into this in some detail now. Who are the home consultants? We train master's level child development specialists, occupational therapists, speech and language therapists, educators, social workers, psychologists, doctors. A full-time home consultant can take care of 25 families. Although on average they take care of 5 to 10 families in our experience, but we have had home consultants take care of that many, and if you think about it, this is an extraordinary ability to help lots of children with one person, and this is the huge advantage of a train-the-trainer model. The families receive about 20, I would say most of our families receive about 20 feedback sessions per year. So you get 10 home visits, so roughly at 1 a month, and then you get 10 video reviews that come 2 weeks later, and these are your 20 feedback sessions. When a home consultant goes to the home for a half-day visit, they do 3 things. They model, coach, and provide feedback to the families. We've had some home consultants who can't do home visits for that long, some early interventionists who only do 1-hour visits per week, and that's workable. We also have others who are speech and language or occupational therapists where the families have to come to the clinic for an hour in a traditional visit at a center or a clinical setting, and that works fine too. But we found that the best, most efficient way is to do these longer monthly home visits. And what happens is that we videotape the families, we give them written feedback. It's a fairly casual visit, but it's structured. And we do an initial assessment that includes the CARS, which is a measure of severity, the Greenspan Social Emotional Growth Chart, which is a really nice measure to measure progress for the children. We use the Functional Emotional Assessment Scale to assess the child's functional levels, the REAL for language. We collect satisfaction surveys, and we have progress charts that we use to help the parents see how the children are marching up the 6 functional developmental levels that I described in the first session, and showed you the videotape of these, what these functional levels look like. We give the parents 3 suggestions when we leave. We give a very detailed analysis of their video, so that we give them feedback about their interaction and how to help their child make progress. And the way we do that is by way of this P.L.A.Y skill sequence. So this P.L.A.Y skill sequence is really the secret formula of the P.L.A.Y project, or the not-so-secret formula. And what I want to do is go through this fairly quickly so that you can see how we conceptualize what we're doing with the P.L.A.Y project. The first step is really to list the principles. And this is step 1, and we have 4 principles. Number 1, fun with people, doing what the child loves. Number 2, you got to put in the time because intensity matters. And we recommend 2 hours per day broken up into 15, 20-minute sessions. Number 3, you have to play at the right level. This is the work of Vygotsky, the Russian child psychologist, who said you don't want to play too low and become absorbed in an autistic world without challenging the child, but you don't want to play too high by challenging the child in a way that's too difficult for them. You want to play at the just right level. And in order to do that, number 4 principle is that you have to accurately profile the child in terms of their comfort zone, what they love, their sensory motor profile, which each child is very different in their sensory motor profile, so you have to individualize, and their functional levels, the 6 levels that I covered in the first webinar. So this is what we call the zone of proximal development, playing at the right level, not too low, not too high, making sure you're at the just right level. You want to also accurately profile the child, so that's what I want to talk about next, is how do we actually assess the children? Well, the comfort zone is what the child does when you let them do whatever they want to do, and this is what children with autism do. They isolate themselves, they focus on their repetitive interests, they get tuned out, and they're in their own world and they're not with us. So examples of comfort zone activities are lining up trains, visually self-stimming on wheels, lines, or objects, watching TV or videos, getting stuck on the same topics for the higher functioning kids, but they still have their comfort zone. Children with autism want to keep the world the same, and this is a key to understanding their profiles. And our job is to engage them in a way that woos them out of their comfort zone. In terms of their sensory profile, you will find that children tend to come in 2 types. One are the children who tend to fail to orient, and they are hard to engage. They lack attention. They quickly get used to stimulation. It's hard to make them laugh and have fun. It's hard to orient them, but this is what we want to do by really having fun with them. And then we get them to attend. So our goal is to get them to pay attention to us and to be engaged. For children who are in this kind of what I call lump on the log, underreactive child, they have poor registration of sensation, so we have to rough them up and really have high affect. That's the way we engage these children. On the other hand, you have children who tend to be overly sensitive. I call these the Woody Allen types, the neurotic, overreactive types. And they have a very low threshold, and they get stimulated very easily. And so these are the kids who run away or hit you or avoid you. They tend to get upset very quickly. As soon as they start to get anxious, they get hyper-focused and they escalate, and then they have trouble staying engaged. So for these children, the overreactive types, you have to be very careful. You have to go a little bit more slowly. You don't want to overstimulate them. These are the kids who respond to everything and get very excited. And so this sensory profile helps to guide us. And we have these kids who are sensory seekers, and we have to provide them with the right sensory input. We have kids who are sensory avoiders, so we have to watch out to make the environment not too many toys, not too much TV on, not too many noise, not too many people. You have to consider all their senses: touch, taste, muscle movement, smell, body and space, not just the visual sense, which I find tends to be very addicting and takes children out of social interaction. So what we recommend a lot is going to an occupational therapist who's familiar with sensory integration. And sensory integration is the process of taking into consideration what I've just said on these last 2 slides about the type of child and which senses are best to use to help them become engaged. And this is always our focus, is engagement and interaction and two-way communication that help the child move up the functional levels, which I described in the first webinar. And I hope you're getting a sense of that here, is that we start off by connecting to the child in their world to engage them in our world, where we're doing a lot of the work initially. I call this sweating. And then we get them to want to play with us, which is called initiation. And then they won't leave us alone, which I love. And then we get longer back and forth two-way communication until the world starts to make sense. They start to use gestures and words, and then they become much more organized. They become a true emotional thinker, and this is based on the work of Stanley Greenspan and Serena Wieder. The third step in the skill sequence is providing a set of activities for parents. What we find is that parents want to know what to do. So what we do in the P.L.A.Y project is we actually break it down so that we give parents a set of activities by level, by functional level. So if a child is a lower functional level kid, we know that certain things like shaking their arms or legs or squeezing them or rolling them up in a rug or swinging them in a blanket or tickling or wrestling and playing games, simple games like opening and closing a door and playing peekaboo are the kinds of activities that level 1, 2 kids love. For higher functioning kids at level 3, 4, we might want to do all the things we talked about, but also start to begin to do some cause and effect play, like blowing bubbles and popping the bubbles, or rolling a ball back and forth, or turning on and off lights, or playing a chase and I'm going to get you. Maybe putting puzzle pieces in, because that's a 2-step or a 3-step process. So what I found is that children with autism actually, as their functional development increases, their interest in activities changes from simple sensory motor play to more cause and effect play to sequences and games to pretend play. And so as children hit level 4, 5, and 6, they start to do pretend and actually want to do pretend. And this is the real key in our model, is that when we're successful in helping children change what they love, we know we're really making progress, and the child actually wants to play pretend or hide and seek or read books. This is a sign that they've really improved. The fourth step in the skill sequence is core to everything we do. This is, in a nutshell, floor time playing with the child in a way that reads their cues to understand their lead and their intention. We say follow the child's lead. This is how we promote this through step 4. We understand their idea, and that way we get them to increase the interactional process back and forth. So what I tell parents all the time is we have to be careful about whose idea it is. Not that the parents can't have their own ideas, but when they do have an idea to play, like an activity, they have to make sure that the child is engaged. So an activity is really an encounter that is made up of interactions, and interactions are made up of circles. And circles are the process of back and forth engagement. So when I say hello, I'm opening a circle. When you say hello back, you're closing a circle. So opening of a circle means initiating. Closing of a circle means responding. And in our DVD, Play Project DVD, I go into that in great detail and show examples of how you can actually literally count the number of circles that are going on in a given interaction. So this step 4 is critical to the process of helping children improve in their lower functional levels. And what happens is, as parents get better at playing with their children, they sometimes want to know what to do next. So, okay, now I'm starting to get some circles of back and forth interaction. How can I make that circular process, the interactional process, more complex? And that's step 5 in the skill sequence, where we actually offer techniques by level. And so we start with the lower level techniques, like just simply being in the child's space, which you shouldn't underestimate the importance of that. Really, in just observing the child. We have what's called the rabbit hole techniques, which are simple ways to engage the hard to engage child. We do a lot of waiting as a technique because we want to give the child a chance to initiate. And we actually think about circles. How do we get more circles back and forth? We can actually playfully obstruct the child to make them work a little bit harder to get what they want, to open more circles. And then, of course, theme and variation is one of our main techniques. What are 10 ways that we can do the same activity with a child in order to get more interaction and help them march up the functional developmental levels? We love a technique called suspense and surprise, which has high affect. As the child begins to gesture, we will often say what it is they are gesturing for. So we will speak for the child's intentions. For example, if they hold their hand out to get some juice, we'll say, "Oh, you want juice." What we're shooting for is an improvement in their functional levels. We first of all want them to connect to us in a way that's fun, but then we want more nonverbal gestures with longer back and forth interactions and lots of circles. We want improved social attention, leading to an understanding of the world so that the children are moving up the Greenspan 6 functional developmental levels to levels 4 through 6, so that they are with us, they're not in their own world, they're interested in people, and they're using language meaningfully. So the other thing that we do in the home consulting program is to make sure that our home consultants are thinking about the children. This is a complex, sophisticated model, as you can tell, with a lot of analysis that requires understanding the family and the child, and this requires that the home consultants go through some process of supervision. The other thing that we've done in the P.L.A.Y project is to develop a fidelity measure that is essentially our workbook for the home consultants, so that we can describe everything that they're supposed to do in an organized fashion. In our research, we have found that the home consultants who go through our training program really do learn it, and we can measure that. That's what we're going to be talking about next, is our training programs. With that, we conclude the second section on the P.L.A.Y home consultation model. For more information on the P.L.A.Y project, you can always go to our website at www.playproject.org. This concludes the second section of the P.L.A.Y project model.